Hi, everyone. My name is James Soroka, Jimmy Soroka, Jim Soroka, DJ, Jimbo Slice. What else I got? A whole lot of dirty ones. Let's stick to the real ones. As you come in and say hello, let me know how you are. Let me know where you're from. If you're watching on the replay, tap the screen to give hearts. We are almost at 10,000 hearts. I think we're just cusping over 5,000 in under a month, which is exciting. I have been all around social media before, and the past couple of years have just been a whirlwind. I was put through some crazy stuff, and I stuck to some core principles and core patterns of behavior that some are trying to mark as pathology, which they're not. They were things that I had to do to keep from people manipulating my life and the way that it would run online. And now that I've learned a lot more about how it works and what's going on, is I'm able to keep my stuff around and still have the conversation. So I'm definitely in a position where I can't explain a whole lot of what I know and understand, partially because I don't know how to communicate it, and partially because I just woke up to the fact that most of the world doesn't even know what I'm talking about yet. And I didn't know that I was that far ahead of the game. But it's not that I'm ahead of the game, but it just always made sense to me. But as I sit here, I want to get to know you guys, and I've always tried to use the platform and ride the waves of social media to get to know people. And now I'm learning to shift it where we can have those relationships. It's productive for everyone, and hopefully I can make some sort of business out of it, but not for myself. And that's the biggest thing I'm struggling with, is how I can make money here without making money, which is something I've wanted to do since 2015, is be able to run my social platforms and be able to make a living, or be sustained, food, shelter, water, family, all that, just without it having to be labeled as a job, or me having to take more responsibility than what does belong to me. I just want it to be transparent, and the more responsibility I take for other people's lives, even through business, it's just, I like to be known, and I like to know other people, and the more that it gets involved, the more difficult that gets. So welcome on, buddy. How are you? Welcome on, Bobo the Clown's lawyer. Makes you look very youthful. Thanks. Make money without making money, Soroka 2020. I do mean that. I'm learning how do I communicate that, is I want to make a living without having to have it centered around financial interests. I'm not a socialist, and I'm not looking to I guess I want to be an influencer. That's the role that I kind of fell into, but I no longer want to be the influence necessarily. But what I'm learning is it's like, regardless, we're influential on one another, and you can't really stop it. Or at least it seems like I can't stop it. By trying not to influence other people, I ended up influencing them in a bad way. I've learned that avoidance tactics seem to make things worse for everyone. You're a hurtful person, and I really hope that your parents stop doing whatever they're doing to you to cause you to come at me like this. It's not a good thing. Smitty, welcome on. How are you? You can do whatever you want, yeah. I don't even know what you're saying, and it's yes. I say, yeah, do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do. Yeah, whatever. I have not switched personalities. You guys see, like, I've changed my bio and all that. Those things that were in my bio last time, it is true, all right? Like, those are parts of my identity. But those are so much more parts of my social identity. And what I put in my bio is true about where I'm at. And I hate being fake. It makes me shove it down more. And it's not being fake, right? It's what most people do. What I had in my bio is what most people do. I reject it when I don't feel that I'm on that level. And I don't feel on that level. And even if I'm on that level, I don't feel that way. And that matters, right? In a society where our emotions are disacknowledged just so we have a social role, is that I'm not necessarily satisfied or happy. And I know I have joy in my heart, and the forgiveness and all those things are great. Happiness, I do not have all that much happiness in my life right now. I have satisfaction. And that's the same thing I had in 2015, is a hell of a lot of satisfaction, but not a whole lot of happiness. I have kicked depression, and I've kicked suicidal thoughts. I've kicked a whole lot of negative stuff I did have back then. I also have gained a whole lot interpersonally and inside me, but now I want to build on the outside what I needed on the inside. And I thought that I had already had what was on the inside, and that's why I was ready to go out and, conquer the world. I was ready to go, but I wasn't. If anyone could tell, I definitely wasn't ready. I'm doing well. Just waiting for people to pile in or not pile in, however it goes. Just as people come in and say hello. Yes, I am talking about you. You show very sociopathic tendencies, and what you're doing, the way that you're verbally coming at me, is signs of mental illness, and it's like not good. And I might have to mute you in my broadcast just for the sake of your own health and for the sake of everyone in the broadcast. I do. Well, that's under the assumption that I don't. I'm not on here making friends anymore. I mean, no offense. Not like you see me as a friend either, right? I'm not on here making friends anymore. I'm just on here talking. So I'm making those boundaries and keeping those boundaries. All right, great. Can someone find these kids' parents, please? You wonder how I got. Prime example. No supervision. So what's going on with you guys? Clothes. I want to talk about clothes today. That's a long time no see. How you been? A lot better. If you're talking about just from yesterday was a good day. Today's a good day. Today, for the first time, I was in the zone, and I am in the zone the way that I was long before I even hit the internet. I had a point in my life where I was very focused, and I was working out, and I was very driven towards a goal that I thought that I wanted, but I didn't. And now this goal, I know that I don't want it, but I also know that I have to have a job, and I have to have a purpose. And this is the purpose I have in our country right now. I am blessed to have been given a second chance after throwing away an awesome purpose to begin with. And so I'm going to do it and do it as well as I can. So I haven't been on since you were in Georgia. What's new? Bajillion things. I've just become much more private about my personal life, though. I want to ask you guys about clothes. What are your viewpoints on clothes? Because I currently own 2 pairs of clothing. It's slowly increasing, but I'm seeing that I also have this complex where I feel guilty for having clothing. And while people were judging me when they thought that I was like proud and bragging, because I was proud and bragging that I didn't have clothes, I didn't realize that I actually didn't have clothing or have things because I had been essentially brainwashed to feel guilty for having things for myself. My whole life, even from my childhood into my adulthood, I was trained to feel guilty for having anything for me. And I kind of shifted that into this Mother Teresa mentality where I thought I was proud of not having things. Whereas all of that facade gets pulled back and people were taking it out on me, I didn't know I was that way. And so I feel guilty for having things. If I want to have more clothing, I feel like I don't deserve to have more than 1 pair of clothing. I have a suit in the closet, and I could easily throw that suit on. And I have the motivation to throw the suit on, but I feel guilty putting the suit on because so many times on broadcast, every time I would make here on broadcast, even is I would make $1 or, oh crap. That's okay. It's just water. Just let it go. Just let it go. Thank you though. Oh, my butt's nice and wet. It's cold. I needed that. So many times on broadcast is people would attack me every time I get a super heart, any super heart I get, and they would be down my throat. And people would literally try to sabotage me, and they would make false police calls for healthcare checks every time I would be getting super hearts. And it built and conditioned this mentality into me where I rejected money, and I rejected clothing, and I rejected my own emotional and mental health. And it was people. And now there are people trying to frame it another way, saying that social media is unhealthy for me. And that's a way of getting the attention off of themselves, where these people committed heinous acts against me to make me look like I was that way, knowing that they were working on my pride, and that I would fall back into my pride and say, oh no, I want it this way. This is what I want. Just to be able to say that I have the answer. And it confused me, and it sent me down this path. And I went down this path of complete delusion where I didn't even know what was going on. So as I wake up to that, I feel guilty having a suit in my closet. I feel guilty having food in the fridge. I feel guilty having a roof over my head. And the same people that were yelling and yelling, hey guys, he's homeless and scamming, or this and this and that, are the same people that were guilting me on the back end using their little cronies that were talking to me in real life, getting me to feel guilty for having things for myself. And unless I get them by being mean to people, unless I get them by looking like a criminal, unless I get them by winning their approval, by confessing to things I've never done, that I am not allowed to be alive. And they're proud of themselves, as you can see, very proud of what they've done. And their dumbasses think they're getting away with it. But, oh, I love being on this end of the screen. I absolutely love it. Guys, the difference between you and I is when you're dedicated as I am, and my life is dedicated to this, okay? They dedicated their free time to this. My life, my human life is dedicated to it. I'm not going to give my life for it, but you get my point. Is for the most part, my life is wrapped around this, and they're thinking that they're ahead of me. It is not possible for you to be ahead of me on my own life. It's literally not possible. Not when there is the establishment and I'm obeying the establishment and doing my job. I am doing the job that I have to do. Like I'm doing my job. And then there are people who think that they know better than the people who hired me while they're on the platform of the people who pay my paycheck. You don't have the paycheck. And if you do have a paycheck, it's soon to be snuffed out, because people that are just backstabbery and for the sake of attack of someone else as opposed to self-defense, people take that down. Like our society is engineered towards taking that corruption and letting it destroy itself. That's part of the mechanism of our country. And I'm just bragging and spouting because I love winning. And guys, I will say that one thing I have learned to love more than winning is sitting back and telling the people that I've already won against that I've won before I've actually won, because it gets them to fight harder and quit more quickly and lose more quickly. And they don't even know it because they're so lost in their own emotional rage. And I don't necessarily enjoy their downfall, but it does feel pretty good to be on the other end of this now, standing on the other side of that mirror while they bang their head on the glass and lick the window. And I'm sitting here like, hey, come get me. And they really can't, and they don't even know it. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have fear. I always have fear, because like I said, there's always that one random crazy. But even just from yesterday and the day before, I've been thinking about it more and more. And am I really scared of that one random person who walk up to me? Actually, no. I'm not scared of any of these people, because if they've seen what I'm willing to do, a lot of you have seen what I'm willing to do to maintain my platform, live my life, and keep the haters behind me. You've seen I'm willing to do some ugly things. I don't want to do them in the future, and I will never put myself in a position where I have to ever again. But looking back, do I regret my actions? Yes. Would I have done the same thing? You got to ask yourself, when you look back on something, would you have made a different decision now? Well, you can say that now. Can you say that back then? Can you necessarily say it back then? Not really. You can say it now, but not back then. So for me, I made the choices I have. And now I see that these people who I have been so afraid of, they're terrified of me. And I didn't even know they were terrified of me. This whole time, I had no idea. And they're freaking scared of me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then why do you keep poking the bear? I mean, common sense says walk away, but clearly people don't have common sense. They just keep poking the bear. And I'm not poking a bear. The bear's defending me. So I'm not a coward for standing in the corner where the winners sit. It's a mature move. You know, am I a weak man? You better believe it. I have my weaknesses. That's called ownership. That's called forgiving myself for just doing as much as I can. And I continue to grow my strength and grow my tenacity, my confidence, and do my best to become a better person. But who I am right now is not for anyone else to judge, but God and the devil. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see, the things I'm doing in my life are in the favor of a lot of people, much more powerful than the people poking at me. So I've learned from my haters how to pick a side, but I am much better at picking sides than they are because I do it with integrity. And whether they like it or not, the people who are in power in our society, they don't like frauds, clearly, and I'm not the fraud. So I guess that works out. It doesn't. Lovebug says no one wants to harm you. Well, first off, you're not everyone. And I say that with respect, is you're not everyone. So as long as you are not everyone on the planet, you don't have the position to be able to say no one wants to harm me. You can't possibly know that. I'm not saying I do, but I'm saying you definitely don't. And you say you're speaking for everyone else. This is my point, guys. A lot of people want to speak for each other and say that they have permission to speak for each other. I blatantly tell people, you do not have permission to speak on my behalf. You do not have permission to use my name in your broadcasts. You do not have permission to use my content. They continue to commit crimes using my name, and it's without my permission. And so clearly, we know who's in the wrong. And I was even dumb enough to begin to believe the most unintelligent criminals on the planet just because either they had money or they had social influence or what have you. A criminal is a criminal. And I noticed that most of the people who are like that, they're the ones who have in their bios that they're in the club and they're so special. And having a little bit of an opportunity to see who's in the club, they're definitely not in the club. And I was just stupid and I cared and I got taken advantage of. But these people have no idea the more they do what they're doing, they're just burying themselves further. Like, I know that I'm running into a hole. They don't. Let me repeat that. I am aware that I am running into a hole because it's a valley and there's a mountain on the other side and I am half their age and twice their intelligence and twice their biological ability. I'm going to be able to climb that hill and they're going to be stuck in that valley when the flood comes. And yes, I'm using metaphors, not biblical references. But for anyone with half a brain, you guys get the point. I'm not all that scared of them, but I've been willing to be scared of people I'm not scared of just so that I don't have to leave them behind and lose them in my life. That is how much I care about people. And I'm proud to say that I may have gone into delusion, but I did it with the intentions of love. But when I'm sacrificing myself for love, but I'm doing it in a way that does not produce a result anyway, I mean, that's not really worth it anyway. It's pretty out there. And I didn't know I was doing that. Clearly, I didn't know what I was doing. But I guess my brain did on some level. It's like we seek to survive. And there's a few people out there who knew what I was doing, even when I didn't know what I was doing. And they orchestrated that. And what they don't know that they did was they taught me a lot about storytelling. They taught me a lot about the value of illusion. They taught me a lot about how the system itself works. And they didn't mean to do that. But that's how I am, is anything that comes at me, I usually absorb it. And people don't know how strong I really am. And they think I'm delusional. But the more people throw at me, the stronger I get. And it's not like iron sharpens iron. It is, they're getting sucked into my atmosphere, my gravity. But the difference between other people and me is I'm transparent about it because I don't want it to happen. That does make a difference. There are people in this world that they make their content and they do this and that, and their goal is for you to get sucked into their atmosphere. That's not a bad thing if you want to get sucked in someone's atmosphere. There's people out there. You know, I know that my wife loves her fantasy books and she loves getting sucked into them. That's her personal preference. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is I don't want that for you to get sucked into me because I have really, really big plans in my life. And there's just a lot of stuff that can complicate life. And if you're getting sucked into my atmosphere, as opposed to just making it enjoyable content, I've watched it I've watched people make poor decisions because they're trying to be me or be like me. And I've had to make really, really risky decisions. I've had to make really rough decisions. And they're like trying to be like me. And somehow I'm responsible for that. And I'm not. It's the platform's responsibility. It's the parents' responsibility. It's the person's responsibility of themselves to make better decisions. And I can't be held accountable or responsible for the actions of others just because they choose to allow me to have a greater influence over their life, even when I'm not having a selling point. When I have no sales or marketing skills put into my work, which clearly I don't have all that much, right? You guys know that. And yet people are the most drawn into it. That's, like I said, as I've admonished the responsibility as much as possible for other people's actions to try and make it as transparent as possible. Who's trying to be like you? Stop it. Just stop. I'm not here to name names and play this game. You're funny. Do I like Cocoa Puffs? I love Cocoa Puffs. Thank you for asking. Lovebug, what is your favorite cereal? What's your favorite cereal? What am I even talking about? Pretty much nothing. That's kind of the point. Hey, my delusional rants are fun. You know it. People like my delusional rants. You like my delusional rants. That's why you make fun of them. When people really, really like something and they can get at the person who makes it, they'll usually make a joke or they'll pick on them. I know you like it. Am I a black hole in this analogy? No. Stop pretending like you don't know what I'm talking about. Real knows real. Neither one of us are real, okay? No offense. Are you guys married again? It's official. The rest of it needs to be worked out, and that's our business. Yes, we're married. I love this woman till the end of time. And for all we know, with everything going on, time might be ending. So we're making the most of it. And thanks for the super hearts, by the way. Blech. Now, okay, that I can address is that there's another person on this platform with the same last name as me that makes more money on the platform than I do. Have we had a mental health comparison? Yes, I talk about a lot of crazy things. I'm doing pretty well in my life. I will take my health over a paycheck any day. I did choose for the past 5 years my health over a paycheck. The increase, the slow and steady increase of my health as opposed to that paycheck. Because if I chose that paycheck over my health and the information that I've received as opposed to the money, I would have been paying a therapist and paying for medication, and I would have been trapped making $10, $15 million thinking I'm a freaking super genius, living in LA, in Beverly Hills, thinking I'm master of the universe and somehow I'm going to make it out. And there's absolutely no way, because I've committed so many crimes and made so many mistakes, that people with billions of dollars own me. And I am not going to be owned. You'll sooner have to kill me. And that might happen, but nobody is going to own me. It's a poor choice on their end. It's a very poor choice on their end. You don't want to own me. I'm more of a problem than I am a solution when you take ownership. If you guys haven't noticed that, is when people take ownership of me, other than me taking ownership of myself, it actually ends up out worse than it could have been. And killing me off, I don't think, is really an option at this point. And yes, there are people on this planet considering that. Well, guess what? Just leave me be. Let me run off to some island and, I don't know, be a DJ or a farmer or whatever the hell I feel like being. And maybe I'll come back and visit when people don't want my head on a plate for disagreeing with their methods of how they've treated my life. However they treat anyone else, that's their business. But I'm saying you don't treat me this way. End of story. You'll get away with it. I'm sure you'll get away with it, but all right, then I guess that's what you'll have to do. You can live with yourself on that decision. couldn't I? That negative statement in itself proves that you're not in a position to have this conversation. With all due respect. Okay, well, you can say whatever you want. That's my family. So, but feel free to continue to create family drama for other people, and then saying that you know how to evaluate who the good person is. While you tear apart our family and then tell me who's the better person. You don't have the ability to evaluate who the better person is because you're not being a good person. What are my talents on social media? Okay, Will Jones. So social media, they are platforms. That's like going out into the world. You know, it's like you're asking me, what are my talents? So, I mean, am I a street juggler, or am I going out and am I selling cell phones? I mean, when I'm on the internet, for me, it's like a social club. It's like running a social club or hanging out. I don't really see it as much of a job. It doesn't bring much of an income. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I have found out that I'd much rather just have just enough to fill my belly and chill out, and not really be so concerned with the rest, because I'm starting to see that most of the people that are concerned with the rest are willing to take on a lot more responsibility for their own insecurities and egos. And there are people that make more money than them and have more power and influence than them who are sitting back laughing while these people, they put on their monkey suits and they think they're the geniuses. And it doesn't mean they're stupid. I'm not judging people in a suit. I have a suit. My YouTube channel, I'm wearing a suit on my, channel thing. But it's just, there's so many different facets to life. And from what I've experienced, this is the choice I'm making right now. That's a long-winded answer. So what are my talents on social media? Define a talent. I would say that being as healthy as I am is practically a talent in America right now. Sad to say. And on top of that, what other talents is I have the ability to have a one-on-one conversation with you while maintaining my own mindset, focusing on you as a person as best as I can with as little as I know about you yet, and then jump on to the next conversation, jump on to the next comment. And while other people say they can do that, most people are simply focused on their own agendas. And when they have that conversation with you, if you watch other broadcasters or you go live with people or even meet them in person, most people just have their agenda in mind. And I am still, while people are saying that I'm acting like I'm this big, massive genius and I have all the answers, you haven't noticed, I am very learned, but I'm also very open to more and more and more. I want to learn more and more and more and more and more. And I'm not shutting that off. So I am not satisfied when it comes to wisdom yet in my life. I'm satisfied in my life where I have the people that I want in it and I have what I want in that perspective, right? But I'm not satisfied when it comes to my social, when I go out the door and I'm not talking to my immediate friends. My life is together, but it's a part of my life that I never thought I would have to begin with, and I never really wanted. And it's something that even while they screenshot and piece together a nice little clip to say, hey, look, in the same broadcast, he said he's satisfied, and then he said he's not satisfied. So everybody who doesn't have the attention span to watch a 2-hour broadcast, just listen to me while I jerk off in a corner. So what I'm going to tell you is that I'm not contradicting myself. And listen closely, because then you'll hear how it really is I never had that part of my life. And I wasn't really ever interested in it all that much, is to have social relationships beyond family or beyond close friends. Yes, that is a normal, healthy thing to have. I was raised in an environment where I didn't have that at all. I was also raised in an environment as I got older where most of the people I had spent my time with and knew didn't have this. And so when I first got introduced to you guys, no wonder people were calling it a cult, because I was like, everybody's family. And no, we're not family. And I think that might be a good thing for everyone. So getting to know each other, I think, is cool. And like I said, I am a very big advocate in the belief that we are responsible for one another's lives. That's a huge thing for me. because of how I've been treated in my life and also how I've seen others treated. But at the same time, I'm learning to see that putting my own life first is the most important thing. You have a lot of clothes on compared to the scope title. That's, yeah, guys, clothes. Do you like clothes? Are clothes big to you? This is why I don't put topics in my thing, because I let it ebb and flow with the people I'm talking to. I don't want to have the ultimate influence on the conversation. I like to ebb and flow with it. I don't want to have that dominance. I'll take leadership in the conversation, but if it moves beyond the initial subject, why limit it? I think that's, it's not clickbait. When you come in, you could talk about the title, say, hey, what about the title? Say, okay, let's go back to that. But I like the free flow form of how this is done. I really like ebbing and flowing with it. So what is it that's making the insecure people? I already know the answer to that. Is I said things that are smart and dumb people heard it and now they're angry. Just calm down, okay? I'm not better than you. I'm just smarter. It's a big freaking difference. This is what creates problems in this world, guys. I'm not creating a problem. You're insecure. Like, get over it. For the love of God, how can you care more about an argument than learning? And then wonder why you're poor too, but of spirit. I may be poor of money, but God, I have my head on my shoulders. Look at how much it takes to trigger me. Where one word out of my mouth and you blow up. You put me face to face with one person and someone would be ever super confused and has been confused to hear of a diagnosis. Doesn't make sense that I was diagnosed. Also doesn't make sense that people think that I have a mental illness. When I'm having a conversation with 60 people and 40 of them are reaming me out of jealousy, anger, or whatever the hell their excuse at that day or that time of day is, maybe they didn't get to beat one out. Maybe they beat their kid, whatever excuse they have for how they treat me. And somehow I'm the one that's mentally ill when I'm doing my best to be calm and be nice to you. I'm a pretty stable guy, a hell of a lot more stable than the people that are calling me ill. Just pointing it out because it needs to be pointed out. Guys, I'm taking the conversation where you're taking it. I'm just going there with you. I'm willing to let you lead. When the narcissists decide, well, we're going to take over, I let you lead. I let you think you're winning, and I just run with it. What am I supposed to do? Kick you out, ignore you, pretend like you don't exist? I could, but it's how you became monsters to begin with. Is more than likely mommy and daddy didn't treat you the way they should have. I've been there. I get it. You'll be okay. Grow up, quit patting yourself on the back, and get over it. The way you told me. Well, I got over it, and you're still not over it. Keep feeding my ego. And then wondering why I get proud. Funny, Miles. Yeah, full HD 1080p. Hit settings, make sure it's 30 frames per second and better quality, and then just press OK. Well, I'm gonna watch it first. Guys, you guys are being uncool, so I'm leaving. Maybe if you decide to grow up, I'll talk to you next time. Try to give you my time. It is my time either way. Whether I make money or not, it's my time. So good to see you too, Rich. Thank you. If you guys want to have an actual conversation that doesn't include your hyper blown up egos and, you know, narcissistic attacks mixed with your egotistical belief that you are God of the universe because you live however you live. You know, we'll get there, I guess, when you decide, but I can't decide that for you. And I'm done kicking you out of my broadcast because I know what that feels like. See you in the streams. I'm going to go enjoy my day without you. Next time, maybe I get to enjoy it with you.